Hi everyone, it's Olivia from Girlybunches here, and I'm going to show you how to make this crochet square. It's a bit different to a granny square that I've shown you before, and this is in a response to a message from MsDoodleGooberBug, who's asked me if I could show her how to make a square that would go nicely with the roses that I've shown you how to do in a previous video. So I had a look round, and I thought this might be a nice one because it's got this nice round bit in the middle, and I took the liberty of making a little rose, and I don't know if you agree with me, but I think that looks really quite cute. So I hope this be something that you'd be looking for, and this would be for a blanket that she's making. So I think the roses would be in a different colour, but that, you know, this was just to see how it works, and I think it works quite nicely. So I got the pattern from my Crochet Motifs Beyond the Square book. I don't know if I can get that in. Sorry about the glare. And this is pattern number 113. And this pattern, I'm using a 4mm hook to go with double knit yarn, which requires a 4mm hook, and the square that I got, the size of square I got was, well, it's 5 inches. It should be by 5 inches. Yeah, 5 inches square. So in centimeters, that is 13 centimeters. Yeah, by 13. So it's quite pretty, I think, and yeah, let's see if we can show you how to make this. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to point out that in the book the pattern is actually written in USA and Canadian terminology, and I will be explaining this in European and Australian terminology. And to see the differences down for that, look down below. I've put a link to a video that I've done previously explaining the differences. So moving on. What we do to start off with, we need to start with a magic loop, and into that magic loop we're going to do 24 trebles. So here we go. So that's how we start off the magic loop, and we're going to do 3 chains to begin with. That will be our first treble, and then I will do the remaining 23. Okay, right, let me just double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 24, brilliant. And then to finish off all loops, we slip stitch into the top of those 3 chains that we did to start off with, which was our first treble, just like that. Okay, now this pattern has a big loop in the middle, so normally we would pull that tail as tight as possible. In this instance I'm just going to pull it a little bit. Now that's going to be too loose, but we can tighten that as we go around. And MsDoodleGooberBug was saying that she was having trouble with squares, and I think that this might help you because you'll be able to adjust the tension of this middle foundation row as you go along, so that you will be able to form your square, and it shouldn't get out of shouldn't get all wonky and warped. So don't put it too tight to begin with. We're just gonna tighten up a little bit so we've got a general shape. But as you can see, that center loop, that hole there, is much bigger than that one. So I adjusted it as I worked the rest of the rounds. Okay, and that's one of the main reasons why I like to use a magic loop, because if you did a chain and formed it, then you'd be stuck with it, and if you've got to this part of the pattern and you're still all wonky in the middle, then you'd have to unpick and start again. So you know, that's why I use that method, but I understand that that doesn't always work for everyone else, but this is the way I work. Okay, so the next round, what we need to do is we need to do one chain, and then in the same place, so in the same stitch back into that one, we're just going to do a double crochet like that. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to chain 5, and we need to skip 2 of these trebles from the previous round. So that's the one we're working from, that's the next one, that's the next one, and that's the one we need to work into next. And we're just going to do a double into there and make a loop like that. Now we're going to do a chain of 3, and then we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to skip the next 2 trebles, which are those 2 there, and work into the third one. So 1, 2, 3, and do a double. Now we're going to do 5 chains. Again, we're going to skip those 2 and work into that one with a double. As you can see, we're making corners here. So chain 3, skip 2, and I'll double, and then we're going to chain 5, skip 2, and a double, chain 3, skip those 2, work into the third one with a double, chain 5, skip 2, and we're finished by putting doing 3 chains and putting our last stitch, slip stitch, into that first chain and double that we did at the beginning, like that. So now we've got lots of little ends, but I'm just going to pull that ever so slightly again just to firm that up, and as you can see, we've got 4 corners and 4 sides. Okay, right, now what we're going to do is we're going to start working these corner bits. So what you need to do is you need to slip stitch into this 5 chain space here. Okay, chain 3, and that will be our first treble of the round. You need to do another 2 trebles here into the same space like that, and now we're going to chain 3 and into the same 5 chain space from the previous round we're going to do 3 trebles. Okay, let's just get some more yarn. So you can see what we're adding to that corner by making another corner here. So we've had 3 chains to replace our first treble, 2 trebles, 3 chains, and then 3 more trebles into that same space there. And we're going to do that similar on each corner, but in between those we just need to do 3 trebles into that 3 chain space that we made from the previous round. Okay, so just carry on. 1, 2, 3, like that. And into this space we're going to do 3 trebles, 3 chains, and then 3 more trebles, just like we did over here, because this is our next corner. There's our first group of 3 trebles, there's our 3 chains, and we do 3 more trebles in that corner. Okay, so you can see we're making a shape, a squared shape now. So again, here, 3 trebles into that space there. And then again for the same, for the corners, we're doing 3 trebles, 3 chains, and then 3 more trebles. So I hope you're able to follow this, and you can see we're getting a nice square shape appearing. So 3 more trebles in the middle bit. And again on this corner, as before, all the other corners, 3 trebles, whoops, 3 chains, and then 3 trebles. So we've almost finished that round now, and we're just going to do exactly the same that we did on all the other sides, and we'll do 3 trebles in this space here. Like that. And then to join the round, we slip stitch into the top of that 3rd chain that we did, which was representing our first treble, just like that. And there we go. There are your first 2 rounds done. Now, if you were finding this was getting a little bit warped, you could just pull that in a little bit more, and you still see that middle hole there is still not the same size as that. So, you know, just adjust it as you need to. If you found you pulled it too tight, you can just pull it back open again. It's really versatile and really helpful. So I'm just going to pull that up a little bit more. Okay, so that's the first 2 rounds done, and we're going to move on to the 3rd round. Okay, so we're going to start doing the 4th round now, and I just wanted to show you what we're doing because it does sound a little bit complicated. So if I show you this one that I've already done, there's our first round. Our second round was the chains that we worked the 3rd round into, and this is our 4th round here. So what we're going to do essentially is, barring the corners, we're going to do a treble, a space, and a treble, skipping a treble in between, and we're going to do that all the way along. So we're going to work into the first treble and into the last one of each row, but skipping one between, which gives us this lovely sort of block effect. So we're going to do a treble with a chain, skip the treble from the row below, and do a treble into the one next to it. Chain space, treble, skipping the one below, chain space, treble, skipping the one below. So there's going to be the same amount of stitches going across as this row, but we're going to make these lovely little gaps here. In the corners, we're going to do the chain space from there, do a treble, we'll do 3 chains to bring us around the corner, and do a treble, chain space, and then carry on working into the first one, skip one, next one, skip one, next one. Okay, so I hope that makes sense, and I'll show you what I mean, but I just wanted to show you on that one first because well, I just tried it and it didn't make sound like I was making much sense. So okay, so as normal we're going to do 3 chains to represent our first treble, and then 1 chain which will be our space, and we're going to work into that last one there. So we're going to do a treble into that last one, skipping that one in the middle. And so in the corners we do 1 chain, 1 treble into that corner space, 3 chains, another treble into that same space. That makes our corner. Okay, there's our corner bit. 1 chain, and then a treble into that first one on that row there. And then we're going to work into every other treble along the line with a chain space in between. So 1 chain, skip a treble, 1 treble, 1 chain, skip that one and work into the second one along, 1 chain, skip that one, work into the next one, 1 chain, skip that one, and that brings us to the end of the row. Okay, so I'll do that corner bit for you again. So that's a chain, a treble into the corner space, 3 chains to bring us round the corner, a treble into that same space, a chain, and then we work back again into that first treble of the row. And then we continue to work along, skipping the trebles from the row below. So a chain, not that one, but the one next to it. So I'm just going to explain that corner one to you again. So it's 1 chain, a treble, 3 chains, a treble into that same space. That makes our corner, 1 chain, and we start working again in that first treble of that row. And then we just work along to where we started. So that's 1 chain, skip, treble, 1 chain, skip, and if we've done our sums right, we should have 1 there that we're not going to work into. We're going to do 1 chain, and then we'll slip stitch into the top of the 3rd chain that we did at the beginning. So as you can see, there's 4 there, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we don't want to work into that one because that's our chain space, but we want to work into that one there. We're just doing a slip stitch there. Alright, so there we are so far. We're not too wonky. We can't expect it to be completely straight until we get to the very end, and that should firm it up because these look a bit round at the minute, but we'll sort that out when we get to the final rounds. And you don't forget you've got this adjustable ring in the middle so that you can tighten that up as you see fit, or loosen it up if you need to. And now we're going to be working on the 5th round. Okay, so now we're going to work on the 5th round, and there are only 6 rounds in this square, so we're almost there. And this one's going to be really easy because what we're going to do is we're going to work 3 chains to be our first treble. We're going to work into that space, a treble, work into the top of that one a treble, in the space, in the treble. So we're going to do trebles all along like that, and in the corners we're just going to do 1 treble and 3 chains and a treble to bring us around the corner. So I'll show you what I mean. 2, 3, so there's our 3 chains that represents our first treble, and then we're going to do a treble in that space there, a treble into the top of the treble, and into the space, and into the top of that last treble there. So into that corner space there, we're going to do a treble, 3 chains and a treble, like that, and then we're going to work a treble into the top of that one there, and then into the space, into the treble, into the space, into the treble, and I think you get what I mean. So I'm going to just do this round for you to see. So you can see I've been working into the tops of the trebles and into the spaces all the way along until I get to that very last one. Need to get some more yarn, and then we go into the corner space with a treble, 1, 2, 3 chains, another treble into that same space, and then again into the top and into the spaces. We work trebles all the way around until we get back to the beginning. So I'll just do that and I'll come back. Space there, and then we'll just finish off the round by slip stitching into the top of that 3rd chain there, like that, and that's the end of our round 5. Right, last round, and this is the simplest of them all, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a double crochet into the top of each treble along. So to start off the round, we need to do a chain and then a double crochet into the very same space that we did, so just there, like that, and then you just double crochet all the way along, just like that, and that gives us a nice edge to be able to either crochet the squares together or sew them together, whichever is your preference. Just makes it a little bit neater and tidier. And into these corner bits, what we're going to do is we're going to do 5 double crochets, and that will bring us round. Always do odd numbers on corners, and that will give you a nice rounded shape with a square edge. 3, 4, 5. If you need to just move them along a little bit, then do so, and then you'll see that tidies up that edge a lot, doesn't it? You see, just gives it a nice finish. And then again, just 1 double crochet into the top of all the trebles that you've done on the previous round, like so. So I'm going to carry on doing that. Remember to do 5 in each of the corners, but just do 1 into the top of the treble. So I'll just finish. I'll finish that off. So on to the last few stitches now. One more double crochet, and then we're just going to slip stitch into the top of that one that we started off the round with, and there we go, that is the square. So I'm just going to finish that off like normal, cut off my end, pull that through that loop there, put it nice and tight, and there is your square. So you can pull that loop tighter if you need to, and then just sew in your ends, and there's your square, and hopefully that will be the same as that one that I did before. Yeah, lovely. So you would just sew those together as part of your blanket, and I think that that flower looks quite sweet in the middle of there. So I hope you found that helpful. I hope you enjoy that and that you think it's pretty. And I shall be back soon with a review of a wool winder. So yeah, if you have any questions, just send them to me and I'll be happy to make a video just like I did for MsDoodleGooberBug. And yeah, happy crocheting. I'll be back soon with some other tutorials, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.